Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion. Good news! I am recording a video and I have already written a post for Monday. I'm recording this, of course, on Sunday evening. Before I tell you a little bit about tomorrow's post and an intention that I set and fulfilled for Sunday, let's begin as we always begin by recognizing that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more and each other. Now, surprised you there, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I decided that I want to change going forward the way that I refer to the holy presence in which we find ourselves. And here's why. Because this website or the Substack and these videos especially are all about being a planetary pilgrim. Now, I am a planetary pilgrim, and perhaps, well, we all are planetary pilgrims, but there's that second piece, which is on the way of Christ. And here's the thing, y'all. I know that not everyone is on the way of Christ or on the way of what they would identify as God, right? The way that we have is what guides us, what inspires us, our code of ethics, the way we live, what we commit to, the ultimate foundation of our lives, right? And that varies. And I think that's good because each of us is different. By changing the beginning to the more, and again, I would put that in all capital letters, capital THE, capital MORE, right? By putting it in that, it makes it universal because there is always a more, right? Now, how you define that more, how you experience that more, how you understand that more, whether that more is a deity, whether that more is harmony of everything, the connection, it varies, right? But by saying that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more, that's really what we as planetary pilgrims are always seeking or looking for or paying attention to when we are present to our lives, right? Now, the reflection that I'm going to read to you here in a moment from the Ignatian Book of Days, something that I quote from frequently, is going to identify the more as God. And you may do that too. I do that myself. But I want this planetary pilgrim place, this uncommon communion of planetary pilgrims on all kinds of different ways to be as inviting and as welcoming and as hospitable. And I don't want language of God to get in the way. So going forward, it is the holy presence of the more and each other. So that said, I want to, before I share the reading that I came across this morning, I want to share the intention that I made this morning with Insight Timer. Now, if you've not discovered Insight Timer, I highly recommend it. It is an amazing app. It has some really good paid content, which I'm really tempted to subscribe to, but I already have way too many subscriptions. That said, it is wonderful. And again, I highly recommend it. What I am committing to do with it is each day put an intention, set an intention for the day based on something which kind of comes up, which I discover, which, I kind of find early in the day. Today, I put in assist with change. And I think this came to me because I knew that one of the main tasks for today, which is still Sunday, 11 minutes left in Sunday, was to help my youngest daughter move into her senior year apartment. Yeah, it's hard to believe. She is starting her senior year at Ohio State. And this is the first time I saw her apartment. My wife helped her move some of her stuff in, but I got to do the big stuff, the heavy stuff. And I assisted her with that change. So I fulfilled the intention in that way. I didn't realize that I would be doing that later in the evening. I talked to my friend Mike, who I met actually for the first time. He's a friend in recovery that I've gotten to know through Zoom and phone calls. But I met him a couple weeks ago as he was moving up to Chicago, and he passed right through Columbus. And it was just a wonderful meeting. I think I talked about it in one of the videos or maybe wrote about it. But he has been there now 2 weeks and shared with me this evening just a wonderful, wonderful idea that he has discerned, and a way to move his career forward, the way to move his passion forward, the way to live his calling. And it has to do with nonprofits and putting on retreats. He calls them a chance to kind of let go and cleanse and detox, from the stress that folks who especially lead nonprofits encounter. And he was sharing this with me, and he's really excited, and I'm excited, and it sounds like it's going to really, really be good for him in ways that he only may be able to imagine or even not imagine. Well, what that did for me, and why I'm sharing, in part why I'm sharing this with you, is because today I got a strong sense that I need to write my spiritual memoir. I've referred to it here. I've already given like little bits and pieces, but I need to get serious about that. And one of the ways that I'm going to do that, y'all, is I'm going to cut down on the time that I am devoting to this Substack. So what does that mean? I still want to do every day of the week. That is my commitment. Doing what I've been doing in the same pattern, right? And hopefully you're familiar with that. But what I'm doing is I'm streamlining the Monday, Wednesday, Friday posts. The posts that have the little pieces, the things that I'm quoting. I'm cutting a few pieces out of that. I'm going to kind of streamline that. And you can see tomorrow what that new format is going to look like. That will take us through ordinary time / Pentecost until we get to Advent. And then, of course, that will shift again. That said, what I also hope to do is taking some of the time where I would write each evening to shift that to sit down and write my spiritual memoir. Because I have a story to tell y'all, and it is, I think, going to be worth you reading and others reading. And it's not just going to be my story. I'm also going to weave in the stories of a few of my spiritual mentors who I have encountered on my journey, who have given me ideas and insight and support and much, much more. So look for that. As I write that, I will also be posting those pieces. And eventually over time, hopefully sooner rather than later, I'll have enough of my story that I can actually publish it. I want to put it into a book and then, start to share it with others and see what opens up with that. I want to close with a reflection that I read today in, again, the Ignatian Book of Days. And when I talk about being a planetary pilgrim and what that means, I think that a lot of my insight, not all of it, but much of it, comes from my Ignatian background. I've been schooled formally with the Jesuits 3 times, and each was very significant and very formative. And it's because of this spirituality that I'm able to experience the more in the ways that I talk about and write about here. And here's the reflection for today, and we'll let this be our last thought here. And it is by William Barry, S.J. So that's a Jesuit. You can always tell a Jesuit with an S.J. after their name. Society of Jesus is what that stands for. But this is from a book called Finding God in All Things. And here's what William Barry, S.J. writes. He says, the Ignatian exercises rest on the assumption that God creates this universe precisely in order to invite other persons into the relational life of the Trinity. Ignatius presupposes that at every moment of our existence, God is communicating to us who God is and who we are in God's sight. Whether we are aware of it or not, at every moment of our existence, we are encountering God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, who is trying to catch our attention. I love that, y'all. I love that, because that means that every moment when we are paying attention to that moment, God is there, because God is actively seeking our attention. And when we say, wow, or when we say, thank you, or when we say yes, or when we say help, or when we say many, many things, especially I love you, or I care for you, I feel with you, and so forth, God is there. So thank you for joining me this evening or this morning when you might pick, or tomorrow morning when you pick this up. Please take a look at my post for Monday to kind of see the new format. And thank you for listening, watching. Please share this with others. And may your Monday be one in which you are paying attention to God, who is trying always to catch our attention. Blessing and good, y'all. Be gentle. Be well.